Hey Wire Monkeys, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Cabling. I'm going along the distribution series, and now we're going to talk about the benefits of inside sales reps.
Welcome to Let's Talk Cabling, your gateway to the world of ICT. Get ready to dive deep into knowledge that empowers.
Welcome to the show where we tackle the tough questions submitted by apprentices, installers, technicians, project managers, estimators, customers, even IT personnel. We are connecting at the human level so that we can connect the world. If you're watching this show on YouTube and you like this content, would you hit the bell button and the subscribe button to be notified when new content is being produced? If you're listening to us on one of the audio podcast platforms, would you mind giving us a 5-star rating? Those simple little steps helps us take on the algorithm so we can educate, encourage, and enrich the lives of people in the ICT industry. Wednesday nights, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What are you doing? You know I do a live stream on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, anywhere that I can figure out how to send a live stream to, where you get to ask your favorite RCDD. You know that's me. Your favorite RCDD. Questions on installation, design, certification, credentialing. I even do career path questions. But I can hear you now. But Chuck, I'm driving my truck on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. I don't want to get into an accident. Take a deep breath. Breathe it out. Relax. I record them. And you can watch them at your convenience. And also, while this show is free and will always remain free, would you click on that QR code right there? You can buy me a cup of coffee. You can even schedule a 15-minute one-on-one call with me. After hours, of course. So I'm continuing my distribution series. We've talked to a couple of distributors over the last few weeks, but now I want to do an interview on what the benefits of being in a good relationship with your inside sales rep. I'm going to tell you right now, personal experience. I knew my inside sales rep way better than I knew my outside sales rep. And my inside sales rep, on more than one occasion, have helped me from making huge mistakes on my bids. On more than one occasion, my inside sales rep gave me some inside information that helped me be more efficient on my bids. So I had to find someone who's a good inside sales rep, who's also good in front of the camera, good at public speaking, and I happened to find one. Imagine this. I found it at a TKW event at Tech Fest. Who knew? Just goes to show you. Networking counts. For those of you who don't think going to these network events are worthwhile, they are absolutely worthwhile. So welcome to the show, Jalen Barnes. How you doing, my friend?
Doing all right, Chuck. Thank you for having me on.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So why don't you go ahead and give us the 50,000-foot view of who you are and what is your experience level?
Well, I'll give you a 10,000-foot view, get you a little closer. So I started in this industry knowing absolutely zero. In 2015, my father is actually an installer, ICT. So he actually was the one that helped me get my job at a local distributor on the East Coast called Norfolk Wire and Electronics. And that's where I started and spent the majority of my career and never would have left until that company got acquired by ADI Global. And so I spent the rest of my time there at ADI until that ended. And I had an opportunity to start my own distributor in the same area, Norfolk, Virginia area. And we're rocking and rolling. Been doing that for a couple of years now. Wow, time flies. So now I'm an owner operator. So I've gone through sales rep, manager, owner operator, went through the whole process. And I never stopped being an inside salesperson, to be honest with you. Whether as a manager, whether as an owner operator, doesn't matter. You still always kind of have your hand on that. That never goes away. So I have a lot to say about it and a lot of love for it. So I look forward to this conversation.
Me too. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. Yeah. A couple things right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Number one, everybody starts this industry with zero experience.
Yeah.
Everybody does. Because you said you started off with zero experience. I'm like, nobody comes out of the womb knowing how to pull cable.
I started distribution with zero experience. I didn't come from anywhere else, integrated suppliers, Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I want to make sure that, and the reason I point that out is because, and you probably know this because, your dad's a professional cabler and stuff, and he's worked with crews, stuff like that. You know that sometimes we tend to look down on the new guys and we harass them, and we often forget that we were once that new guy ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to make sure I point that out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing, my ADHD just kicked in. Squirrel. That's what happens sometimes when you record these things live. But I know what it was. So you get to wear many hats. That's what you're talking about, being salesman and manager and stuff like that. And I think that's going to fit right along with the majority of the audience because everybody's a salesperson. Yeah. Everybody's a salesperson. And those who realize it in the beginning, it actually will help launch your career and make you go even further, because learning people skills benefits you in your daily life, in your career life, and for the people like you who have a spiritual life, it benefits there as well too. If you know how to talk to people, start them conversations, it's just going to help big time. So let's start off with the easiest thing, because what a lot of people probably don't understand, I'm the estimator at the local ABC cable company, and I call you up and say, "Hey, Jalen, I need this bill. I'm sending bill of materials for you." I often think that you're probably just sitting at the computer, just waiting for my phone call. Yeah. Right? So give us the insight. What's the daily life look like of an inside salesperson?
Well, I'm glad you came into it that way, because I do sometimes feel like on the other end of the phone, that's what's like, you're waiting on me. And it's like, no, we're not. We're possibly scrambling. The daily life is different every single day. At the very least, it's going to be consistent, potentially constant phone calls and emails. That's it. So, working a desk job, but it doesn't mean we're not working, and so we're constantly, or text. I left text out. You got your customers that you're really close to. They're texting you, sending you stuff. My day gets started before I get into the office. I'm getting texts while I'm still at home, and I have very considerate, clients. They're fine if it takes me some time to get back to them and look into it or whatever. They'll say, when you get to the office, look at this for me. But anyway, day to day, it could be one of them days where we're scrambling, where the phones are ringing off the hook. People are coming into the shop, picking stuff up. And so we could be at any given point slammed. And I would say make the assumption that we are. And as we get into some of these questions and get forward in some things, having that in the back of your mind when you're talking to us can help get us to the answer a little quicker.
But I thought you were dedicated just to me, and I was your only customer. What's up with that?
We really wish. It makes things so much more simple.
Exactly. So in your daily job, you're probably going to be talking to everybody from the installer to the tech to the project foreman to the project supervisor, maybe project manager, maybe even, definitely, hopefully, the designer and estimator, maybe even manufacturers.
Oh, 100%. Always. Yeah. I was going to bring that up if you didn't. But yeah, you got to understand, we're in the middle on both sides. And so we're thinking two different trains of thought at the same time. And we're trying to service two different people at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let me break this. I know this question that you and I already had in advance, but I want to break it into two parts, right? Okay, what's the biggest challenge when talking to field people?
Yeah.
And what's the biggest challenge when you're talking to like the project manager or the estimator? Because I know those are two different levels of conversations.
Yeah, well, I think it's all about priorities, right? Well, first I'll say it's terminology. I've got clients that I'm not going to say anybody's name, just thinking things in my head, but like they have 5 different names for the same thing. And so when I'm talking to them, I know they're talking about, but when I'm training someone new, I'm like, oh yeah, here's a list of what they're actually trying to say, but it's fine. But yeah, so terminology, but also priorities. The tech in the field has a very different priority from the project manager who's seeing all the costs. And so since you may be talking to both parties at different points in the process, the tech may call in and say, hey, this part isn't right. I need to just bring it back and swap it out. And it's like, okay, but there's a big cost difference between these things you need to swap out. And, does a project manager know this? And you as a distributor, I can get in trouble because I switch something out, or I can get them in trouble. And so it's not just covering my own back, and saving my own skin, but also trying to look out for the guy in the field. And it's a lot of navigating these relationships. So I think it's really about priorities. Everybody has a different priority, from the owner of the company to the guy in the field. Everybody wants to get the job done. They do want to take care of their end user, but there are also levels of priorities of how we're going to get there. And sometimes those things conflict, and sometimes you're the mediator in the middle when you're inside sales. Yeah,
because, to a technician who's picking up cable at the will call, all they know is they're picking up some Cat 6 cable. Well, you and I both know there's Cat 6 riser, Cat 6 plenum. There's minimally compliant Cat 6, and then there's the enhanced Cat 6 platforms and stuff. And each one of those is a different cost price point.
U.S. made as well versus offshore. It's a whole lot.
Right, exactly. So, but to install it, they don't care that cable's cable, right? They just need to install it. But I guarantee you that project manager is going to care about that price.
Yep.
Because that's what their performance on. And I'm glad you mentioned that our industry has multiple names for the same thing.
Yeah.
I say this on a lot of my podcasts. Our industry loves acronyms.
Yes.
And the only thing it loves more than acronyms is it loves changing acronyms. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to stay current. So I'm going to put in the description on this episode a free Bixie resource where it's the Bixie ICT terminology handbook. It's got the definitions, it's got the acronyms, it's got the old acronyms and the new acronyms. That's what I like about it, right? So if someone calls it an MDF is in there, even though it's technically an old acronym. We're not supposed to use it anymore. If they want to say that TR, that's the new acronym. Well, that's in there as well. So it's a great resource, and it's free. That's the best part of it. So it's a great resource. Great resource.
Whether you're pulling your first cable or managing multi-million-dollar installs, you're not alone. Welcome to Low Voltage Nation, the largest, most active community of low-voltage pros in the game. With over 176,000 members on Facebook and growing, this is where ICT professionals connect, collaborate, and level up together. Got a question? You'll get answers from real techs with real experience. Facing a job site challenge? Someone here has solved it, and will show you how. From fiber to access control, estimating to entrepreneurship, Low Voltage Nation is your power network. This isn't just another group, it's a movement. Join the community today at lowvoltagenation.com or jump into the conversation at our Facebook group. Because in this industry, the strongest signal comes from those who connect.
So let me ask you this. What's the one thing that you think that contractors misunderstand about distribution, specifically talking about the inside sales reps, or maybe even the branch managers?
Mm-hmm. I think you made a good point of the only customer. I think they know that they're not the only customer, but it's just our sense of priorities too. We want to take care of you, the customer, and we want to help you take care of your end user. But there's a lot of little pieces that go into that. You say, okay, I need this part, special order it. Okay. You just ask for something that we never order and that we don't have anything else we need to order from them. So that manufacturer has a minimum order of $250. Your part's only $100. So now I've got to figure out how I'm going to bring that in here, because now I got to bring in something else that's going to sit here, right. Or you got an oversized part and it's going to be a oversized freight charge, and you're not interested in paying that because, it's just normal piece to you, but not to us. So right. I think sometimes, when you bring these things up and say, hey, look, this is a little monkey wrench. I was just quoting you in the beginning because this was just shot in the dark. It was a part of a larger project, but then you cut everything else out. I just need this piece now. And I was like, okay, I didn't quote you freight before because it didn't matter when this was a different scope, but now I do. And I kind of need you to understand that I get upset about that. Right. So I think these are some of the things that they don't consider. And it's fine because you got your own things to consider. And I've got to consider what you're considering as well. So it's not anything to be critical of, but just things you may not take into play, the different priorities we got to consider on our end as well.
And what a lot of people don't realize, I do, because I've dealt with numerous inside sales reps, numerous outside sales reps, different companies, different levels. And one of the things that people don't realize is the price isn't just the price. There's a lot more stuff that goes into the price, right? There's the over-the-counter will call price where somebody just walks in and there's no established relationship with the distributor. That's going to be one price, probably the most expensive price.
Yeah. And
then if you're a company who orders regularly, you might get a discounted price. And then there's also project pricing, right? So there's you have different level prices. And a lot of people don't understand that. You were just talking a second ago about how you have a whole bunch of emails, a whole bunch of calls and stuff. How is an inside sales rep? How do you prioritize who to help first?
Whatever's the biggest project. Now I'm playing.
Oh, the truth comes out.
Exactly right now. It really depends. If they're all coming in at once, we actually really do need to kind of sift through that and see, and I'll put it like this, everyone has a different method. You know, and I've worked with different people and everyone's got their own method. Hopefully everyone's prioritizing getting the work done and getting it done accurately. But sometimes it's not as simple as I got your email first. You know, like one thing I'll say for myself when I get in the morning, it's easy for me to have 20, 30 emails first thing in the morning, you know, and I had 0 new emails when I left the office, and it can go anywhere from way more than that, or it's a slow day, it's less. Some of it's junk. But if I see I've got things going on and something came in at 5:01 p.m. after I left, and then something came in at 7:35 a.m., I don't necessarily just say, okay, well, let me go to the 5:01 p.m. one. Because what I've learned is the 5:01 p.m. one, they knew it was after 5. They just want me to get to it when I get to it. Sometimes, you know, right. While the one that's 7:35 a.m., that's, oh, there's a guy that was going out to the job first thing in the morning and suddenly we realize we don't have what we need. That one may be an emergency. So I don't just necessarily go in order. I will check them and see and be like, okay, this has a lower end priority. This is higher priority. Let me tackle this first, and kind of jump around like that. And when it's not clear that they're all the same, they all just kind of came in at once, come back from lunch and everything's just there, then in those cases, again, you check priority levels, see if anybody's rushing anything. But also what can help or push you further down the queue is how much detail you do or don't have. If I know I'm going to have to put a lot of extra work into this because you just gave me something very broad and vague, right. I'm going to have to spend some time on the phone with you, I'm going to have to talk to the manufacturer, then I may put it to the side for a little bit and say, this is going to take more work. Let me knock out these things that are just, order taking, just pull out your history, send you off a quote, that sort of thing. And there's anything against you if you did that, but it is like, okay, it's time management. Yeah. This is going to take more time, and I'm not sure how much time it's going to take. Let me knock these other things out first and then tackle this. So
yeah, you're a genie. You got to try to figure out, what's priority A and what's priority E, and just kind of figure that out. Let me ask you this. This wasn't one of the prearranged questions, but I know you can answer it. What if I send you an email and I mark it as high importance? How does that affect your opening that email?
So I have clients, and I don't even know if they are doing this on purpose or it's just the way their system works. I don't know, where everything's high importance. And I would say, I would probably speak for a lot of inside salespeople when I would say that I don't think we pay much attention to that. Really, like high importance doesn't really do anything to really catch our attention. What we probably do, and I know I do this at least, is I color code things importance. If I know how to come back to it, I put like a little bar next to it in Outlook that says, okay, Jalen, because what I tend to do after an hour or so or time going throughout the day, I scroll through everything from the day and see, oh, yes, man, I forgot about it. It's got a little highlight. So I'll do it myself, but doing it on your end doesn't if it's something's high priority, my folks got my number. They're going to call me.
Exactly right. I was going to say that, right? Yeah. As an estimator, because an estimator is usually juggling, 1 to 10 bids at any given time, any different stages of the thing and stuff. And if I'm up against a time crunch and I'm sitting, let's say you're my inside sales rep, and it just happens to be 5:01, right? I'll send the email. I probably won't tag it as high importance. I'll probably call you before and say, hey, look, you got an email coming. 5:01. I don't expect you to work on it tonight, but I'm going to need it like first thing in the morning. Yeah. And then send the email.
Exactly.
It's all about
the way to do it.
It's all about communications, right?
Exactly.
It's all about communications. And even if you don't happen to leave it like 4:55, and I get your voicemail at 4:59, I'll still leave you that voicemail. I'll say, hey, Jalen, you got an email coming in a few minutes. I need this thing priced in the morning because I got this thing done by noon. Yeah. So exactly. So what are some of your or anybody's, because you talk to a lot of inside sales reps too, a lot. What are the inside pet peeves? What's the fastest way that a customer can get ignored?
Yeah, I would say lack of detail. We'll put it like this. Okay, if someone's truly getting ignored, you have to have done something pretty personal, I would say. We're not generally just ignoring you. Even sometimes people feel ignored. We're generally not just ignoring you unless you're just someone walking off the street and have no business buying professionally, something like that. Right. But for you to be delayed, I'll put it like that, and not be high priority, you have to consistently be someone who is just has a penchant for having very little detail and requiring a lot of back and forth communication just to get something basic. We understand. Remember, we're not talking about this is very intense project. The end user is very particular, and you really got to baby the project all the way through. That's not what it's about, but it's just even the most simplest things. It's constantly changing, and it becomes a habit of, okay, this isn't just your end user because you're doing multiple jobs here. This is just you not planning ahead. Right. And so because we know mentally how much extra work it's going to take, you might get delayed down the line because we're just going to have to take more time with you. And that's going to rob it from all other clients who kind of have their stuff prepared and ready to go. So I would say and it is a universal pet peeve of like, I ask you every time, what is this? What is that? Oh, I send it to you, but then, no, you got to change it. We got to change the back and forth. It just shows a lack of preparation.
A quick word from the folks who help make this show possible. Are you ready to boost your fiber game? Then check out GoFar Fiber Training School, where you'll learn from the best. Lee Renfro, RCDD, Bixie Tech, and 3-time winner of the Bixie Cable Skills Challenge himself. Whether you're pulling your first strand or prepping for certification, GoFar delivers hands-on, real-world training that gets you job site ready. Don't just go far. Lee will take you all the way. Sign up today and start leveling up your career. Visit GoFar on LinkedIn or click on the link in the description below.
So what would you say is the percentage of emails that you get in? What percentage would you say have a bill of materials attached with quantities, numbers, descriptions versus the emails that say, I need 20,000 feet of cable, 35 jacks, 15 faceplates, patch panel, and patch cords?
I would say 95% are the first category. We have very great clients.
Wow.
We really do. Like we've got it. We've got some very, very good ones. Very few that don't. And I think one thing that, we're doing a lot of talking toward the dealer side, the ICT side, like, how you should handle us. But if I were talking to the inside sales reps on how you should handle your customers and your suppliers, there are things that we can do to kind of train our clientele, train our manufacturers and manufacturer reps. So work in a way that's conducive to everybody, because we're in the middle, we kind of know what works for everybody. Right. We know what works for us, for the end user, for the dealer, and for the manufacturer. So we can kind of create a language, a through line that makes things smooth, not just for us, but for everybody, if we're doing our job right and customer service is good. So I think we've done a good job of kind of training our clientele to know, hey, this is what's going to get the results. This isn't just about, appeasing my preferences. This is what actually help you faster.
Well, that's a fantastic point. I mean, the easier I make your job, the faster you're going to get a response to me.
Yep.
And I mean, if you're creating an estimate, you've probably got a spreadsheet or some estimating software that you can easily copy and paste the bill of materials and drop it into an email or drop it into a document and email that. And then that way it's super easy for everybody around. That's how I always did. I mean, I always had, spreadsheets and stuff. And I mean, I've even had inside sales reps before would look at it and say, Chuck, this doesn't seem to add up. You've got, X amount of patch cords, but they're not matching the jack counts. I would have like not enough jacks, but two more patch cords. Like, that just want to make sure, hey, just one set of eyes. Not that you're the designer, you're the one seeing everything. But I just want to make sure this is something I saw. And that's one of the things I really liked about working with inside sales reps. I really did. Yeah. So let's talk about equipping the people like me, the designers, the estimators, the installers out in the field, the do's and don'ts. We already started talking about it, how to work effectively with you guys, right? So first one is what makes a great customer versus what makes one that's, let's just say, difficult to work with.
Yeah. So I'd say the great customer is really, you've got this rapport now, and that's probably why they're a great customer, because you guys are working together a lot, where we understand terminology, understand language, and we're both looking out for each other. I'm going to go out of my way to try to, accommodate you, but some of my best clients also try to accommodate me as well. I was just talking to one client today, and they needed a part that another competitor distributor messed up the order. So they were coming to me saying, hey, look, I want to get this from you, update this quote. And so I did all that, and they weren't going to get as much as we initially quoted some months ago or things like that. It wasn't a whole lot, but it was just some accessory piece for cabling. And the piece was kind of large. So I said, look, just letting you know, I'm going to need to find some stuff, get with my purchaser, find some stuff to combine this with, because it's just an oversized piece and I need something to kind of try to meet freight minimum. And the client immediately responded back with, would it help if I also got a greater quantity of this other item as well, because they're going to need it down the road to put it in stock. This was a stocking order. And so would that help? I'm like, you know what? It would. It wasn't enough to like completely solve the issue, but it helped, and it was something that, thank you for the thought. I'm going to remember that, Right. So when you do things like that, try to help each other and accommodate each other, that makes a difference versus the people that are very self-centered. And I get it, right? Yeah. You are the customer. I am here to serve you, and you know that. And, you're trying to take care of your end user, and sometimes your end users put pressure on you. So then it just goes up the chain, putting the pressure. I've been there, I've been in the middle of it. I've had to do that with my suppliers, but also try to still be a human being and right. Remember what's actually happening here. And we're on the same side here. And, so the more frustrating people, and again, we don't have many or any of these, I think some of those relationships have just ended, but, in times past when I've had these experiences, it's people that seem to forget, like, okay, we both know what's happening here. I'm not the problem, and maybe you're not the problem, but let's not play this game of you trying to strong arm me or bully me into giving you what you want. The numbers remain the same. We don't have to play this game of you trying to make it all about you and your bottom line, because we're all in the same boat here. And so I think just that understanding and everybody accommodating one another makes for a great lasting relationship.
Yeah, as an estimator, every once in a while what happens is you would get a phone call from the customer after you just submitted the price to them. Mm-hmm. You would get a call from them. Can you sharpen your pencils a little bit? That price is just a little too high. Mm-hmm. I hated them phone calls because I would usually come back and say, well, I can, but maybe we really need to take a look at the design. Maybe there's something in the design we don't need.
True.
That would kind of stave off most of those calls, but there's still some that was their standard operating procedure. Every time they put out a bid, as soon as you give them a price, can you sharpen your pencils?
Yeah. Right? You just know you're getting that response. Yeah.
So, if the customer does something more than twice, the initial price going to them has a markup on it.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to protect that. Yeah.
And then that way I'll knock it off and I'll end up where I wanted to end off to begin with.
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So let's talk about, you talk about educating the customer. Let's talk about what kind of information when you get that email for pricing from the project manager or the estimator, what kind of information are you looking for that's going to limit the back and forth communications required between you and the customer?
It varies for every product. But fiber is one of my favorite ones because it's very easy. And whenever I deal with someone new at one of my dealers, I kind of help them say, okay, these are the things you're going to want to have next time, because otherwise you need to ask this one every single time. This isn't a one-off. And so for fiber, for example, is it single mode or is it multi-mode? If it's multi-mode, is it OM1 or OM3? Because those are the two most common right now. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, did you put the connectors in there? Do you want LC on this or SC? Okay, do you want indoor outdoor? Do you want outdoor? Do you want loose tube outdoor? Do you want rotor resistant armored? And so when someone hits me with fiber, like, yeah, I need 200 feet of fiber. If I open the mouth, okay, and I hit him with like 50 questions, basically, like I just gave you, and it's like, let me go back and ask. It's like, there you go. So it's just, yes, quantity is, the item is, and, look, if you have part numbers, great. How about this? If you know you have part numbers somewhere for this, please do, because that just makes everything go way faster. Right. However, if you don't, I'm not going to try to make you go find it unless we just both are lost. Then we might have to work together on this. But, we as distributors, there's a better chance we're going to know what the part numbers are than you. Give me a very good description. If you have it, give me the quantity, obviously. But it would depend on what you're working on. There's a lot of things you might have to know. And fiber is always the best example because there's so many variations.
Yeah, details matter. They absolutely matter because, like you said, there's so many types. There's OM1 through 5, OS1A, OS2, inside plant, outside plant. Then there's indoor, outdoor fiber. Mm-hmm. And then what strand count are you looking for? Are you looking for a strand? Good Lord, that's the important part. Or are you looking for 6912? Because there's a little bit of a price difference and size difference between a 6912 and a 12 strand fiber. So details matter. I get that 100%. I truly do.
Let's take a short break. Are you trying to reach the technicians, project managers, and decision makers of the ICT industry? Then why aren't you advertising on Let's Talk Cabling? With over 150,000 impressions a month across podcasts, YouTube, and social media, this isn't just a show, it's the go-to resource for the low-voltage industry. We spotlight the tools, training, and technology shaping the future of structured cabling, and your brand could be front and center. Don't just get noticed, get trusted. Email Chuck at advertising@letstalkcabling.com and let's connect your brand to the right audience today.
So let's talk about how the field techs, right? Yeah. So let's say they call you up and they say, what's the best way they can communicate to you? Hey, I need to do a stock check because we got a emergency project somewhere and we're 6 jacks short of this.
Yeah.
Jack, part number XYZQVR 79-84B-LZ2.
Yeah, no, detail. I would say, don't just call and say, hey, minimum jacks you sold me, we need more. And it's like, which ones? You're one of 20 techs that just came in here last week.
Right.
I might not have been the one you were dealing with when that happened. That's the other thing. Sometimes people call in and it's like, they talk to the person as if they're the one that did the order. It's like, there's 3 other guys here. Could have been any one of us. Do you remember who it was? No, I don't know. But It's a rush. Well, if it's a rush, then you need to make sure you got the information because otherwise you're going to be running back to whoever's having you to call me and all that. But if you're the one dealing with it, we talked and all that, then it's probably a non-issue. We both know what this job is. We both know what we're talking about, and I can find it for you. Hopefully I've got it in stock. If I don't, I have to rush it. If I have to rush it, maybe I'll charge you rush freight if it's on you. If it's not on you, but it's also not on me, you're a good client, then maybe we split the difference on the freight. There's all kinds of different ways this could go. But let's just try to remain calm, even though we know it's not a calm situation. Let's try to keep it calm and have as much detail as possible so we can try to resolve it.
I'm glad you mentioned freight because it just reminded me. We talked about be detailed. The quantity, the part numbers, as much of the description can. But one of the biggest things I think a lot of newer estimators forget is to tell the inside sales plant to include shipping in the price.
Yeah. Because
if you don't, you'll get that quote. And then when you get it in, they bill you for the material and then another line item for shipping. Mm-hmm. As a project manager, that's an unexpected price. So that's why I always as one as a caveat, so every time I submit for price, all prices must include shipping.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, that's safe. That's very safe to do it that way. Yeah. And I mean, I think on our end, we try to mitigate that by just doing that, whether they ask for it or not. And if it turns out that it's not necessary down the road, then okay, we just saved you some money. But if we know we got some special items up here and we know it's not meeting a free minimum there, we'll throw that on there. And we try to be consistent with that. Sometimes we're not, and it gets missed. And that's always the most annoying thing for anybody, whether it's us or you,
right?
And missing out on the freight,
So what advice would you have for, maybe that junior project manager who's new and they're feeling kind of intimidated, talking to a seasoned, experienced inside salesperson like you, and their brand's making new, and they haven't downloaded that ICT terminology handbook yet, and they really don't know what to ask for. What advice would you have for that person?
Let us know you're new. I mean, that's what I had to do as I started out as a distributor. Let folks, because what happens is when you do that, typically what's going to happen is, as long as you're not talking to an absolute jerk, then they're going to put on their teacher hat and they're going to help you along because they were there at some point before. But so just let folks know, hey, I'm new. I could be getting this wrong. Help me out. I did it all the time, whether it was with the dealer or the
That's a great tip. That's absolutely great tip.
Yeah, because I'll switch modes and be like, okay, I'm going to take some time with you. You know, I mean, maybe I have a lot going on, but it doesn't change the fact that if I want to help myself in the future because you're going to work at this company, it behooves me to help you come along, learn, because it's going to help me move things along faster the next time. So I mean, it's just kind of common sense.
Yeah, exactly. Because so what you're doing is you're helping. So first off, you're nourishing that customer relationship. So now that customer's more likely going to call you back because he's going to say, "Hey, this guy's really good about help. He caught me with some mistakes in my stuff." That can make him come back to you even more often. Yeah. And on the flip side of that, that saves the whole. Oh well, we didn't really want the Cat 6E jacks. We wanted the Cat 6A jacks.
Yeah.
Saves those problems, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What are some of the red flags that you see that might indicate that this bid or this project is going off the rails?
All the changes, it's stuff like this is bill materials. Okay, send it back. Well, no, they changed their mind. They just want to do this. They just want to do that. And it's like, okay, we realize we're putting a lot of work into this, but this is probably going nowhere. We're putting a lot of time and we're not going to get the investment back on the time. And so, at that point, we just got to be smart about how much effort we put into the details, because we can see, okay, you're not winning this job, or this entity doesn't know what they want to do, or this is exploratory at this point. This is not a real thing. So yeah, just a lot of the back and forth changes. I send you something, then change it again. It's like, okay, yeah, this isn't real. This is a red flag right here.
Right. So we talked about how to streamline that communication. So let's talk about, I've hinted on it a couple of times, building that relationship with the inside salesperson, right? So how can the listener, the senior tech, the technician, the project manager, build relationships with their inside salesperson? But it's more than just transactional based, right? So what are some of the long-term benefits? If I sit there, I invest time with you and build a relationship with you, what are some of the long-term benefits that I'm going to get as a customer?
Yeah, we're gonna go to bat for you, because sometimes somewhere down the road something's going to go wrong, or you're going to need a favor, you're going to need some help, you're going to need me to do a little bit extra to sometimes to help you win a job or whatever, and or I'll be more likely to call you when a manufacturer comes to me with an opportunity in my area and say, hey, who is the dealer partner you want to work with on that? I'm more likely to point them to you, even if you're not certified in their material, I'll say, hey, look, certify these guys, they're great. I'm going to give back to you. So
right.
Those are the things you don't initially think about up front when you're just thinking transactionally. There's a lot of ways that can pay off down the road, a lot of ways it can save your bacon down the road if you run into a problem. And there are clients who, it wasn't my fault, but I ate the freight on a rush ship for them because of just who they were and how good they were. And I saw they were in a bind, and I know what I would want someone to do for me if I was in that same bind, So that does make a difference. It just does. It matters.
So I can't get that preferred customer status just by buying more and more and more from you?
No. I don't think I've ever seen it really work that way, to be honest with you. I think the people that buy more and more, it's because the relationship has grown that way. The ones who buy a lot from us are the ones we have great relationships with, but it wasn't because they were buying more. It progressed to that because it was beneficial for both parties to work together that way.
Right. So, one of the things I learned, one of the companies I worked for when I was an estimator and a senior estimator and a division estimator, is certain bids over a certain dollar value, they had to go out to multiple distributors for pricing. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that always opens up a can of worms, right? Yeah. Because I'm just going to use the three that I did at the time, right? It was Graybar, Annixter, and Wesco.
Yeah.
Okay? So I would send out emails to all three of my inside salespeople, and I would let them know, hey, this is a bid. I need three prices, blah blah blah. And I would always also let them know that the company that I'm going to choose will be the one who has the lowest overall dollar value. I'm not going to nitpick. I'm not going to pull cable from Annixter, jack from Wesco, because I know that in order a lot of times to get some of the pricing you get, you're making some assumptions on getting the whole entire lot of the job. When you start splitting it out, that's going to cause problems. So I would always say, I'm going to select whoever has the lowest overall price. And that seemed to work favorably for me, right? Yeah. It did. But I always wondered, and maybe you can tell me this because the vast majority of the estimating I did was that type of bids. Should a contractor stick with just one distributor versus doing the multiple bids like I did?
I would love to say just pick one, but no, you should always keep your options open. You should. You got to catch someone sleeping at the wheel. I mean, look, that's how I got a lot of clients. When my competitors was caught sleeping at the wheel, they got too comfortable. They just kind of took it for granted, took the business for granted, And so you got to keep your options open. I do think that there are certain maybe product lines or categories. Like I use this distributor for my cable. We've developed a rapport there. I'm not going to keep shopping them on that. They do good for me. It's not just about the price. They help me load up. They'll deliver it to me. There's different things like that. It was okay. You're going to get my cable until you just do something to mess it up, but you're over here, I'm going to deal with you for fiber, that kind of thing. And it's, you got to do what's best for you and your company and everything. Right. I would love to say, get everything from me, just get it all, no matter what. But, no, you do got to keep your options open. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. I understand when it comes to credit too, sometimes you've got to bounce those things around and all that with your credit line. So I do get all that. And I'd say, you should have one or two, maybe three that you have a good rapport with.
Right.
But I would say reward those that you have a good rapport with. Reward the guy that keeps coming through and that, fixes the issue, that sort of thing. Because
that's where that relationship comes into play.
Exactly. And let them earn a little bit more. Don't let them make it feel like, because they're a salesperson. And as a salesperson, you're being required, you're being asked by your management, by whoever, to grow the client. So let them feel like there's an opportunity that this can grow if I'm doing a good job. So that's where I stand on that.
And here's a pro tip for anybody who's working in distribution from an estimator's point of view, right? Because we would see the outside sales rep once a month, something like that. Maybe depending on the relationship, maybe once every 2 weeks. How about bringing the inside sales rep with them every once in a while? Because that's who I talk to.
Yeah.
That's the person I want to talk to, because I'm on the phone with them at least 4, 5, 7, 10 times a week, or an email. Just bring them in, sit down and say, hey, how you doing? So that's what you look like.
There you go.
Right, so let's talk about project wrap-up, project closure. Probably one of the areas that most project managers suck at. Let's be honest with you. Let's put all the cards on the table, right? What are some of the things that you wish project managers or estimators would do better after the project wraps up?
I feel like it happens more like when phases happen. So, and it gets really weird. Like maybe you got a bunch of material and you got material for other phases of it. Like we're doing the build out or the roughing, and we're not going to hang the access control panels until after the cabling. So it's like 6 months down the road, you finally open the box and it's like, oh no, this is a problem. This is broken, or this is, and it's like, we could have resolved it. It's a lot easier to do these. If something's in warranty, that's fine, all that. But sometimes it's just the headache of, if we had known this up ahead of time. And I perfectly get why that doesn't happen, but that's more of a phase thing than the entire project closure. Right. I get it. It's just like, oh man. But when a project is truly done, this may be what you're expecting to hear, but I kind of wish folks wouldn't return stuff that they already priced into the job. So what I mean is, like, you have more than what you needed, but you still billed for it. It was built into the job and everything like that. Why don't you just keep it? Let it roll over. I made the sales for that month, but then I got taken RMA at the beginning of the month for something and put us kind of in a hole. And it's like, could you hold on to it? And
or use it on another project.
Yes.
Where it's already been paid for. Mm-hmm. There's just more profit in that second project. Exactly. I understand why they're doing it, and I just had this conversation with another distributor not too long ago, because what a lot of companies, what a lot of technicians don't realize, that warehouse that's got that shelf of all that cable sitting there from all the leftovers from all the projects, that's a bank. That's money sitting on the shelves.
Yeah,
and that's why some of them are trying to get returned back with you, because they're trying to get some of that money back. And I get that, but why not be a little bit more accurate in your estimating? Why not be a little more accurate in tracking the materials and stuff?
Yeah. Especially when you know that people who do it the most, obviously, are the ones who I think overestimate material on purpose to be safe, in case something happens. And I'm like, okay, if you know you're doing that, then there's really no reason to be bringing it back like that. Just try to get some extra money. And again, I get it. And if I were in your boat, maybe I would do the same thing. I don't know. But it'd be a little more helpful. Like, help us out here. Just use it in your next job. Now something that you're never going to use, it was special order, and you legitimately thought you needed 100, but you only needed 75.
Right.
I get it, and we got to work that out. But
a lot of that too probably really depends on the size of the company, right? If you're talking a small mom and pop, office where they got 2 technicians and they're only bringing in, $100,000-$200,000 a year, that every penny counts.
That makes a big difference. Yeah,
that makes a big difference. But to a company like a Black Box or a Hinkles and McCoy, that's that does 10 billion a year, not 10 billion, 10 million. No, they do more than 10 million. The last year I worked with Hinkles, the Network Solutions division did 55 million.
Wow.
And that was 15 years ago.
Wow.
So in a couple extra boxes of cable in that scenario, okay. But I want to tell you a story. I want your thoughts on this. So we had a project manager one time, and this is back before we had tight controls in our PO processes. Mm-hmm. And what happened was we got awarded to do some projects for some schools, and there was a whole bunch of metal wire mold in the project. Mm-hmm. A whole bunch of metal wire mold. And evidently at that point in time, wire mold was having some kind of manufacturing incentive that if you bought a certain dollar amount of wire mold qualifying products, you could get a free vacation for a week in Las Vegas. Like I said, we didn't have tight PO controls. The project finished. We had 3 skids of wire mold left in the warehouse because the project manager just wanted to hit that dollar value to get that free trip. And it was a nightmare. Luckily, I wasn't part of the whole negotiating thing. It was the area manager talking to the branch manager of Gray Bar, and they did end up taking it back, but they took it back. We took a huge hit on it. I think we got like 50 cents on the dollar for it or something like that.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts on somebody who's trying to stack the deck like that as a project, as an inside salesperson? Would you question that person, or how would you deal with that?
The incentives like that kind of can be dicey. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I prefer not having to bother with some of those things. I mean, look, even on the inside sales spot, sometimes there's spiffs from the manufacturer to us to sell a lot of a particular manufacturer for a while. I mean, those things are cool, but at the end of the day, it's like, I kind of just prefer to keep things even and just say, okay, this is the best product. This is what my customer prefers. Let's just keep it simple so we don't run into those situations. Cause that gets weird. And, if I'm the inside salesperson in that scenario and I thought that this was legitimately how much you needed, and then I'm celebrating the sale, going to my manager and be like, look what we did. And then it's like, okay, well, no, this wasn't legitimate. And now they're going to be giving it back. That is just a nightmare, for me, the inside salesperson, to have to then process that and figure out how we're going to fix this, because then it hurts everybody,
Yeah.
So, please don't do that.
Yeah, Dad always used to tell me, honesty isn't always the easiest way, but it's always the best way.
Yep.
Every single time.
Yep.
So let me ask you this. What's the one golden rule that you wish that every one of your customers, whether it's field or project manager, what's the one golden rule that you wish they would know when dealing with an inside salesperson?
Time is everything. I'll say that. Time is everything. It's not always the dollar value of the sale. It's just time, and it's very easy to chew up time unnecessarily. So, that's why I say time is everything. I think that they would understand that because, we all know that everything matters. When you're billing hourly, things like that. That's why you need me to not drag my feet,
Right.
If you got a tech in the field, we got to solve the problem. So let's just remember that across the board, that time is everything. So let's create a system of communication that respects everyone's time and also makes the most use of it so that we can keep some of that time for the next thing.
Yeah, that's why, when I would send out my stuff for pricing, I always would put in there, hey, I need this pricing by close of business, whatever day. Mm-hmm. And that might be the next day, or it might be a week or 10 days down. Yeah. That way, I know that, that I would get the information back in time, enough time for me to process it, put it in my bid. But I also realize, again, it's all about that relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Knowing that I'm not your only customer, and there might be other people out there who might have to need your services, and just complete communications. It's kind of funny. We work in the communications industry.
Yeah, exactly. Communication, everything.
Funny one there, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, one of the things I do know about you is you're a fellow podcaster.
I am.
And fellow YouTuber. Yep. See, a lot of people don't realize they know the Let's Talk Cabling brand, but I also have another YouTube channel as well too.
Okay.
We haven't posted anything there in 2 years, because once Let's Talk Cabling started taking off, I started focusing all my attention on this podcast. But so tell us about your media adventures.
Yeah. So earlier this year, I just launched the Best Practices Show, which is a podcast I've got on YouTube and Spotify that's designed to sort of connect the integrator, the ICT, to the manufacturer. So all my time in the past 10 years of being in distribution, I always found that the most important relationship that was sometimes overlooked or just not mined out properly was between the manufacturer reps and the integrators. And my job was to kind of facilitate that relationship, whether through, sales calls, bringing the reps in to come into their office, or to do counter days, trainings, all that kind of thing. And so the manufacturer reps were always on me wanting to get in front of the dealers, and the dealers, while if even if they were interested, you're just too busy a lot of the time. And so we would miss a lot that, and then I would go months trying to get two people to connect. And then once they connect, oh, great things happen. Great business comes of it. It's like, it's amazing. But we try to do this for 6 months, So how can we mitigate some of that? So this podcast is something I've envisioned for years as a way to get the integrator and the manufacturer talking to each other a lot faster. And so I realized a lot of these techs, they're in their cars. We get project managers in the office doing estimating, even a business owner doing invoicing at the end of the day. And while you're doing these things, you can be listening. If you're sitting at a desk, you can be watching. And so made this podcast as a way to get the communication from the manufacturers and the service providers directly to the integrators by sitting down and having these interviews. So, for example, I did my first episode with Alarm.com. I had a gentleman on for that, and we just sat down and talked about some of the new technology things. And it was, great. The communication, the integrators able to reach out to Alarm.com. It was awesome. So that was the whole point. So it covers the entire industry, many verticals, datacom, fire, AV, security, intrusion, access control, all of that. So it covers all those different verticals. But that was the whole point, to kind of be that middleman that I already am on the sales side, but on that communication, so that people can find out about the technology, the changing trends, and find out what they need to know to do better with their business.
How often does that come out?
So that one has no schedule right now because it's just as I go. But I got a new episode coming out. Depending on when this comes out, the second episode may already be out. The first episode released already a month or two ago. Nice. And then I'm working on the second episode, and then I'll have to schedule time to do the third. So it's kind of as I have time to do it. It came out right around the same time I did my own showcase with Security Data Supply. And so it's kind of revolved around that. So we're working on it, trying to get some consistency here. But for now, it's just as we get time to get in front of some quality manufacturers that integrators want to listen to. So I believe you're going to leave links for me, Chuck, but I'll leave a link to our newsletter so that you can sign up to that and know whenever a new episode comes out. Yeah,
absolutely. Send me the links to that. And also the other one, too, because you and your wife do it.
Oh, yeah. So me and my wife for years have been doing marriage ministry on YouTube. So that's actually something that has exploded across all of our platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're close to 20,000 followers across everything. Nice. We've been doing that for years. It's been a passion of ours, marriage ministry. So we're actually launching a couple new things there as well. By the time this comes out, that'll probably already have launched. We do a couple of virtual live events, things like that, weekly video releases, all that good stuff, and daily video releases of shorts on all of our platforms. So definitely, we'll leave a link for that as well.
Absolutely, because in today's environment, I'm telling you, there's a lot of evil in today's world. I mean, more so. I've been around this earth for 60 years, and I've seen it progressively get worse, and I've seen the attack on marriages, because that's the foundation of everything is the marriage. And if they can attack that, make that crumble, everything else is easy.
100%. That's what we believe, and we believe we're called to change the divorce rate. And you'd be surprised how many of my clients have actually just on their travel social media come across and be like, hey, is this you? I'm like, yeah, that's me. It's actually even helped business in some way. So, we're excited to do it. We're happy to do it. We're called to do it. So hopefully if that's what you're looking for, you check that out, and it'll be a good impact to you. Leave a comment. Let us know.
Jalen, I'm thoroughly impressed. For such a young man, you got so much stuff going on. Yep. I know that this industry is in good hands. I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. Have me again sometime. I'd love to talk.
Absolutely.